Good evening and welcome to my performance of Mercer Mayer's East of the Sun and West of the Moon. One day in a land not so far from here, in a time not so long ago, there lived a young maiden. An only child to wealthy parents, this young woman never wanted for anything, and her beauty was such that she was courted by all the young men of the land. One day, however, her family's luck changed. Her father fell ill, and the king of that land took all of their livestock and their crops, forcing the young woman to have to learn to hunt in order to put food on the table. One day, her mother came to her and handed her a silver cup. "Please, daughter, go to the land of the south wind, to his home in the spring. Fetch a cup full of water from the south wind spring and bring it back so that it may cure your father." Doubtfully, the young woman agreed. Journeying to the south wind's house, she found that the water in the spring was cloudy and sat down on the ground in despair. "Young maiden, why does this trouble you so much?" asked a frog on the ground. "I need this water to make my father better again," she said, but as she leaned over, the silver cup fell from her hand and sank to the bottom of the spring. "If I uncloud the water and fetch your cup for you, will you grant me 3 wishes?" the frog asked. "Of course." The frog unclouded the spring and brought the young woman her cup back. "My first wish is that you allow me to come visit you," said the frog, and the young woman readily agreed as she hurried back home. Several days later, the frog appeared at her door and visited with her for several days. At the end of that time, the frog came to her and said, "My second wish is that you journey with me to my home and be my bride." But the young woman refused angrily, running upstairs. A few minutes later, the frog appeared at her door. "Your father says you have to keep your promise," he said insistently. "Forget it," the young woman screamed and threw the frog against the wall, killing it. In its place, a youth appeared. Although weakened, he stood and told the young woman, "By death you have freed me from this form, but now I must journey to a kingdom east of the sun and west of the moon to marry the troll princess that originally ensnared me." The young woman tried to apologize, but it was no good. Despairingly, she went out to the garden. The moon heard her cries and told her to find the mountain of ice, which contained a chamber of fire with a salamander in it that knew all the heart of the world. The young woman went and found the cave with the salamander in it, but upon inquiring whether or not the salamander knew of the kingdom and the youth, the salamander was unable to help her. Giving her a small tinder box, he instructed her to go visit with Father Forest, who might be able to help her find this kingdom. The young woman journeyed to the great forest and inquired of Father Forest as to whether he knew of this kingdom east of the sun and west of the moon, but he could not help her because it was outside of his realm. Gifting her with a small wooden bow and arrow, he instead suggested that she find the great sea and the great fish of the sea that lived there, in the hopes that perhaps he could help. Finding the great sea, the young woman inquired of the great fish if he knew of this kingdom, but he was unable to help her. After carrying her across the sea, however, he suggested that she consult the north wind, that perhaps he would be able to help her find the kingdom, and gave her one of the scales from his back, which was very much like a mirrored surface. Going inside the north wind's home, the young woman inquired of the north wind, "Do you know of this kingdom east of the sun and west of the moon?" "I know of this kingdom," the north wind replied, "but it is very far away, but if you will be brave and fly with me, I will take you there." Flying a very long distance, the north wind took her to the kingdom east of the sun and west of the moon. Finding the palace of the troll princess, the young woman pretended to be looking for work and was brought in and put right to work. Journeying to the 3rd floor, the young woman found the room with the golden doorknob. Opening the door, she found the youth encased in a block of ice. Using the tinder box that the salamander had given her, she set the bed covers on fire, which melted the ice. The youth was freed, but he was very weak, so the young woman helped him to his feet and out into the hallway. Waiting for her was the troll princess. The young woman took out the bow and arrow and shot the troll princess in the heart, who turned to wood immediately. Her servants rushed at the young woman, but the maiden held up the fish scale with the mirrored surface, turning all the goblins instantly to stone. A short time later, the youth and the maiden were married, and from that day forward, any traveler that was fortunate enough to find the kingdom found a welcome within. Thank you for listening.